1 week after the attacks. Hopes of finding any more survivors at Ground Zero are gone. Now the mission is to recover the thousands of pieces of human remains scattered throughout the site. The pile takes a heavy toll on workers. But in the search for his brother, Brendan Ielpi stays focused on one thing.
After a while, I think you just became numb to the body parts, to the smell and to all that. Down at the pile, you had one goal, to find my brother.
I can remember my grandson, the oldest was 10, running up to me and saying, "Beepot, did you find Dad? Daddy." I said, no, not yet. And he did that every day. "Did you find him today? Did you find him?" And then after, I don't know, a week or so, he wouldn't ask anymore.
For 89 days, the Ielpis keep searching for Jonathan's remains. They find nothing until, on December 8th, a vital clue.
They had found a buddy of his who was working with him that day in the South Tower. Found him in a stairwell. I said, "Well, if he's here, the other guy's got to be here. We got to be close."
Exactly 3 months after 9/11, Jonathan Ielpi's body is found.
I remember going behind one of the buildings, just pumping my fists. We finally got you. We found you. You could hide, but we got you, buddy. And I say, how could that be a great day? It doesn't make sense. But it was. It was probably one of the greatest days, unfortunately, I think I'll ever have.
In New York City.
The assault on Fallujah has begun.
Target!
3 days in, Papadich spots a group of insurgents ducking in and out of doorways. He goes after them, tracking his Abrams down a narrow street.
It's probably not the most ideal situation for a tank to be in, but every one I kill today is one less that somebody's got to fight tomorrow. So when I have them engaged, I'm not going to let them get away.
Then, an insurgent fires an RPG. The tank absorbs the explosion. As Papadich readies his .50 caliber machine gun to return fire, a second shooter launches another RPG.
I'd never seen him, and when I went into my machine gun, I heard a sss, and bam, that's when the rocket hit me right in the helmet. Blew my helmet apart, blew one eye out of my head, and knocked my other eye down to my sinus cavity. So for me, what I saw was a real bright flash of light, like a super intense camera flash, and then nothing, just darkness. And I could hear this like humming in my ears, like if you took a radio and put it on the static and then cranked the volume, just like this, just in my ears. I couldn't hear anything.
A news cameraman takes this video of Papadich moments after the attack.
I was very sleepy, like I just need to go to sleep, and I knew that's a good way to die, so don't go to sleep, just stay awake.
His fellow Marines carry him off the tank and rush him to a medevac site. A doctor tries to repair his right eye.
And I remember telling the doc, I said, look, I said, I'm gonna try and cooperate with you, but I can't guarantee you anything once you go try to pull things out of my eye.
He loses that eye and most of the vision in his left one. On the streets of Fallujah, Sergeant Josue Magana and his infantry company continue the assault.
Going undercover, using disguise and deception, is the only way to take down the world's most dangerous criminals. But for those who choose the double life, success comes at a price.
It became clear that Kurt would have to travel to New York to get to the next rung on the ladder.
The FBI wants undercover agent Rob to continue climbing that ladder by doing a drug buy in New York. But New York is difficult territory for Ed Robb. He's got a $500,000 price on his head from his previous undercover role.
The FBI insisted that I avoid any contacts with criminals involved with the American Mafia, if at all possible.
Despite the Bureau's concern, Rob's confident that Wolf and Rossi are different enough.
No one would possibly recognize Kurt Wolf as Tony Rossi, the American mob figure. Well, it's possible, but not likely. It was in the fall of 1986 when arrangements were made for me to make a sizable buy, a full kilo of heroin. I sat there by the schoolyard with $200,000 in cash in a briefcase. I had 3 agents surveilling me in a van nearby.
FBI surveillance teams proceed with the deal cautiously. With 200 grand in a briefcase on the seat next to him, Kurt Wolf sits vulnerable, waiting for Luigi. But after 2 hours, nothing happens.
Kurt kept getting delayed and delayed and delayed.
As an FBI agent, Ed Robb is anxious to close the deal. But as the tough international heroin dealer Kurt Wolf, he's getting ticked off. Maintaining respect is key.
Kurt was one of those individuals that demanded punctuality from the very beginning. A cop would wait there endlessly to get that by. It would be contrary to the perception that Kurt Wolf had established for him to just sit there on the street like an idiot.
So instead, Wolf calls Luigi and, playing up his tough guy persona, puts an end to the deal.
I finally said, look, I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm out of here. You have to make the bad guys want to come to you. They're very, very paranoid, and they didn't trust me any more than I trusted them at this stage of the game.
This first heroin deal is actually a test of Kurt Wolf's authenticity as a legitimate buyer.
It was a very important day at the very beginning because it opened a whole bunch of other doors.
It got us additional wiretap information so that New York FBI could move on to more phones and develop more information. And ultimately, Kurt moves to the next rung of the ladder, which is Michael Bernardo.